Welcome to day 2 of e-learning. Today we're going to look at the body paragraphs. So you wrote your introduction yesterday. Now you're ready for your body paragraphs. The number of paragraphs you're going to have will really depend on the number of questions that you're posing in your research. So if you really have two main questions, then most of your work is going to be focused on just those two questions. If you have 3 or 4 questions, you may have then 3 or 4 body paragraphs based on those questions. So if you take a look at what we're looking at, then we are going to take a look right here. When we talk about the first, you're going to begin with the main or the first question you want to address in your research. That will be this first one right here. And so this transition sentence we're going to start with. So to give an example, you might have something like, primarily, comma, the Nazis wanted to use twins for research so that one twin could be the control variable. So of course we have our transition word right there, okay, and then our comma. And the Nazis wanted to use twins for research so that one twin could be the control variable is your topic sentence, okay? Once you have that, then you go to the next part here, which would be right here, your details and information. Now, this is where you write the paper, but then you insert the different facts that you found from your research. There are a few different ways to do that, and we've talked about that. But one thing you want to always remember is that you want to cite everything that you have. So we're going to talk about indirect and direct citing of our work. Indirect would be like paraphrasing, putting it in your own words. Direct would be using exact quotes. This first example is an example of an indirect way to cite your source. So in other words, we are paraphrasing here. Okay, so if you look at the original source right here, it says, led by Joseph Mengele, the program turned twins like Eva and Miriam into unwilling medical subjects in experiments that exposed about 3,000 children at Auschwitz-Birkenau. That's the exact text. So what we did was we looked up here and we said, okay, first we have to understand our text. We have to understand what it's saying, which means you really truly read it closely. We're not skim reading here. We understand what they're saying so that we can take the information and put it in our own words. Now, notice we've used, of course, Joseph Mengele. Okay, the fact that we're talking about 3,000 children and it is at Auschwitz. Okay, they spell out the full name Auschwitz-Birkenau. We just simply refer to Auschwitz, which is typically what you do in this point in time because we're so familiar with it. But if you notice, we have 1, 2, 3 things that line up here with the original text. Well, that's still considered paraphrasing because those 3 things are essential to the understanding or the meaning of what we're trying to convey. We're talking about Joseph Mengele. We're referring to 3,000 children, and it happened at Auschwitz. So in order to state that fact, those are the 3 pieces of information that we need. Now, of course, we always have our in-text citation right here to refer back to what we're actually citing. So this history.com should be in our works cited because we wouldn't use an in-text citation if it wasn't. And this fact that we provided, paraphrased in our own words, shows right here where that information can be found. And yes, if you're wondering, take a look at this picture. It says the twins Eva and Miriam Moses are pictured on the right. And so right here, this would be, well, it'd be Eva Kor now, but Eva and her sister in this picture. In this next example, this is a direct quotation because we are using the actual words. So this is when you use, right here, your quotation marks to set off the exact words that come from your in-text citation. And so if you take a look at the example here at the bottom, of course, it says, led by Joseph Mengele, the program turned twins like Eva and Miriam into unwilling medical subjects and experiments that exposed about 3,000 children at Auschwitz-Birkenau. So what we did was we rewrote the sentence in our own words, starting off, Joseph Mengele was responsible for overseeing the program that, comma, turned twins like Eva and Miriam into unwilling subjects and experiments that exposed about 3,000 children at Auschwitz-Birkenau. So we took this exact information right here and used it, cited it, added our in-text citation, and gave credit to that exact source, which again would be in our works cited. So that is another way to do it, and you do need an in-text citation to directly show what you're citing, and whenever you use the quotes. Now, the question is there a time when you don't need an in-text citation like this? Well, let's see. So the question is there a time when you don't need an in-text citation? Your answer is yes. You do not need an in-text citation when you cite it like a race question, something you're very familiar with doing. If you put something like, according to history.com, comma, Joseph Mengele experimented on approximately 3,000 children. So since we're using an online source, as long as you name the source and that source is listed in your works cited page, you do not need to use an in-text citation for an online source, okay? Now, because some of you are using books, the one thing you do need to do, it's not a full in-text citation. If, let's say you're using Eva Core's book, so according to, Surviving the Angel of Death, Joseph Mengele experimented on approximately 3,000 children. Then you would just add that page number there at the end. And of course, your period is going to move. Your period will go here at the very end after that in-text citation. But that is a shorter form. So if you're using a book, you do want to add that page number. Of course, the reason why, as we said before, with an online article in your works cited, you're going to have a link that goes right to that article. So your reader who wants to verify or, learn more about your research can click on that link, go right to the information. If you're using a book, they need to know what page number to go to. So they'll go to the book, and then they need to know the page number where the information was documented as being found. So when you go to write your body paragraphs, they're going to look something like this. You'll begin with your transition word right here, your topic sentence, okay? And then you will have facts all throughout your research. So for this first one, of course, we have an in-text citation because we are paraphrasing something from that source. Okay, we then go on to explain some further points and details. Apparently, these were things that came from that 6th grade brain because we did not need to cite them. So you will notice that these are examples of indirect or paraphrasing. In other words, we have our in-text citation right here. We have talked about this information in our own words. And then here, the same thing. We've carried out and discussed this information as well. Right here, this angel of death that's in quotes is a title, but it is not used in citing just from this source. It is used generally speaking. So that doesn't apply in this situation. So these would both be examples of indirect or paraphrasing. If I had recalled specific information that Eva Core had said about her experience here and quoted it and put quotation marks around it, then it would be considered direct. But either way, I make sure that I put history.com or Eva Core's book in there because I don't mention them otherwise in any of the texts that I have here. Again, if you have any questions, go back, look through some of the examples that we just went over, and I will have a question and answer session tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock as well, and so we can go through and talk about your paper. But once you've shared your document with me, again, look for those comments because that's what our assignment is going to entail. So your assignment will be to go ahead and write your body paragraphs in the Google Doc. You've already started. Do look for comments from me. I will be working on that throughout the day. And so you want to make corrections as we go so we can revise your writing. We are going to read chapter 10 today in the book, and we will do an activity tomorrow to discuss that. Now, you're getting into some chapters that I normally really like to read with you, so it's kind of hard for me. I'm having a difficult time turning this over, but we'll do some things with it tomorrow. And then, of course, we'll work on the conclusion of our research paper. Have a great day.